Cody Kearsley, welcome inside the Crazy Ant Forum, guys. How are you?
What's up? Good.
Man, we're super excited to talk to you guys, man. We've checked out the trailer and we think the film looks pretty damn intense. We're going to be talking all about the film, telling everybody all about it. And a whole bunch more of what's going on with you guys. So what we like to do to start off the interview is kind of give a little introduction to the fans who might not be familiar with you guys. And just kind of, tell them about how you got started in the industry. What's the game plan? Was it something you guys always intended on doing? Did you know early on this was the dream, or did you guys kind of fall into it, or what?
I think me and Cody both got started pretty early,
Yeah.
I played guitar when I was young, 7, came from an artistic family. My dad's a bit of a writer. So the movie thing kind of started more in my teens. I was doing acting, theater kind of in high school. And then music, and then being in rock bands, started doing music videos. And then, then gradually kind of moved up to doing feature films, So, yeah.
Yeah, I started young as well. I started in dance when I was like 3. I did plays throughout school, high school, and in summer, and like some summer musicals, and that kind of thing. Was in band. I just was always kind of creative. But I went to theater school when I was 18 for 3 years, and that's kind of what started my acting journey, where I dedicated like everything towards the craft of acting.
And so did you think the path was you were going to be a stage actor, theater kind of a thing, or did you always know you were going to make the transition? And if so, how was that transition? Because, playing for the back row is a whole lot different when the camera's right in front of your face, right?
Yeah. I didn't know I was ever going to be an actor. Growing up, I just liked performing. I didn't really have a specific thing I knew what I was going to do. I just was enjoying it and was kind of seeing where it went. When I started theater school, that's when I was like, okay, this is what I want to do for my career. This is what I want to do for my life. And I think I always wanted to do television, film, and theater. I think I wanted to do all of it, but my passion was definitely theater.
Nice.
So that's where I wanted to build my career first. And that's I wanted to do Broadway. I wanted to, go to the West End, maybe potentially. And that's what I wanted to do. So I thought film and television would be farther down the line.
Okay. For sure. Very interesting to see how everybody's lives play out. But we want to jump right into the film, River Road, Man Oh Man. We love talking about this type of subject matter because it's not all sunshine and rainbows in this entertainment industry that we all know and love. And something that's beautiful about our podcast that we do, we have an industry news segment where we talk about literally everything, the business, who's getting cast and what, and everything. But we talk about how there's a good side and there is a dark side. And especially in the music industry, which is a lot of what's going on in y'all's film, it can be very dark and you can get caught up with a lot of the wrong people and a lot of the wrong crowd. So give me a nice little pitch, a nice little elevator pitch, as they say, Rob, of what this film is about so you can get the listeners in on it.
Well, yeah, Cody plays a rock guitarist named Travis, and he meets a young lady who's a bit of a free spirit, and they start an intense...
It's always a woman, man. It's always a woman.
But he's like, at the beginning of the film, he's partying, but he's trying to like clean up his act a little bit. But just in the kind of rock band sensibility, and then and then him and Zoe, the other lead character, they kind of start to indulge a bit too heavily, and they start, as you mentioned, Logan, going down that dark path and really taking it all the way. And they meet some characters along their adventures, and it gets pretty intense. We tried to really ramp up the tension. So I've heard that people, the feedback is people get caught up, and it does tend to hit that gritty, dark place. But then it also, has a lot of, there's a little bit of comedy thrown in there as well, and then some action. So by the third act, it should just be balls to the wall. There's some twists and turns, kind of craziness. That's the game plan. Take you on a bit of a whirlwind journey.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, and I think, the reason that everybody's saying, you said the feedback is that, everybody kind of gets caught up in it or whatever. It's because, nobody wants to admit it, but we all have someone that's there, right? Someone like that's gone through that or is going through that we can relate to. And I think that's when films and art works best is when you can connect and find something that you can go with that, and so rightfully so. And the trailer is by far intense. I mean, just even seeing the trailer, it's pretty intense. So you guys both brought up bands. So I'm kind of just wondering, what was the inspiration behind this? And did you guys experience a little bit of that dark side? And were you able to be in and out of it, or talk about that a little bit?
I mean, where did I start this? I've been around addiction quite a lot in my life. I'm sober. I have a lot of people in my life who are sober or trying to get sober.
Right.
I've worked I was volunteering at a rehab center throughout COVID. And I still go back there once in a while. And just, growing up and throughout my life, I've been kind of around it a lot. I worked in nightclubs quite a bit. I worked in bars quite a bit. So, I saw some stuff. So it's definitely been a part of my life. I've seen some of the dark sides to it. So this was kind of a cathartic experience diving into that.
Well, I was just about to ask, are you like trying to replay those moments while you're portraying your character?
I don't think necessarily. That gets into the territory of that just gets into a little bit of a dangerous territory.
For sure.
But I definitely can draw from experiences and know what those feelings are like, and then that's kind of a starting point, and then I usually build everything around what's in the script. You know what I mean? Like, I get inspiration from my real life, but I don't necessarily dive into relive those same moments, if that makes sense.
Right. Hey, man, we've all seen that dark side too, right? Where people get a little too involved and too engulfed in the character with their own experience. And that doesn't end well, as we've seen it with, unfortunately, so many. And much respect for you for the sobriety and for working at the rehab. I mean, I think that stuff is so critical and so needed. And for somebody like yourself to be able to do that. And I mean, much respect for you. Rob, how about you, man? Did you draw from any experiences? Where did the idea for the film come from, man?
Well, yeah, I mean, being in the rock and roll band, my best friend, went all the way deep, but in our movie, it's more focused on heroin. He was more into, and a bunch of my friends close to me was doing alcohol, cocaine, and then it got into crack, which was kind of about 10 years ago. It was a big thing around Vancouver and Victoria, where I am. So it's more, that was down that path. So when writing it, it's kind of similar to what Cody was saying, which is in writing it, you have all these experiences. I was more of like the caretaker kind of guy when it comes to the witness, I'd say, and around it as well. So you draw from those experiences, but at the end of the day, you're writing a creative story. You're trying to entertain, kind of like a modern day Bonnie and Clyde. So you kind of have both, you use a lot of the things, but you're not actually, it's not a diary. It's not exactly what played out, but it's, very similar situations, but different at the same time.
Right. But cathartic, right? Yeah. I mean, it's the best way to, sometimes you could just work shit out while you're writing.
And that's what we try to do with the movie, is I like movies that do kind of put you through an emotional, cathartic, put you through the ringer. Like, I remember first seeing Magnolia when I was like in high school. I was like, whew, I just went through the whole experience with that. It's so intense, man. I like that kind of stuff. Hopefully it takes them on a little bit of a roller coaster ride and they have some catharsis.
Right. I'm just loving that the young guy dropped Bonnie and Clyde. What? Yes, sir. A film fan, you can tell. All right.
Exactly. I really enjoyed, I'm super excited to see the film. It's all on Apple TV right now, right?
Apple TV. Yeah, and then it's dropping on Amazon and YouTube Movies and Google Play at the end of this week. So
nice.
Fantastic. Everybody mark that on your calendars. But I'm super excited to watch it because it was very reminiscent of Candy. If you guys have seen that with Heath Ledger.
I love Candy. It's one of my favorite movies.
So it's one of my favorite as well. Heath Ledger is one of my all-time favorite actors. But something like that too, and especially recently, I've been having a family member that's been going through kind of the same type of situation. So this film really hit home, and it can be kind of controversial at the same time. So what do you do and what do you say about the people who give you that backlash? Because not all content is quote unquote family friendly content. So what do you say to those people who give you those backlash, even though you're trying to tell an important story in the sense to, try to avoid that type of situation, if that makes sense?
Yeah, well, speaking of Candy, actually, Cody told me about Candy. I hadn't seen it. I watched it right before production.
Yeah.
He told me about that. That's cool. Yeah, to be honest, I haven't really had any backlash as far as from any kind of community or addiction. Again, my close friends who are now sober watched the
Right.
movie. And again, you can't really worry about that too much. You kind of just got to do what you think is, make the movie you want to see and tell the story you want to tell, and just trust that you're doing an honest, what I think is an honest portrayal. And again, it is fiction, it's not a documentary, but yeah, you kind of just have to trust your instincts and go with it and not worry too much about what people are gonna think.
Well, I always go to, like, if you don't piss somebody off, you didn't do something right. Yeah, I mean, I look at it that way, right? You can't please everybody, and if everybody loves it, then it's something's wrong. I mean, you gotta have somebody fucking hate it somewhere, right? Like, that's the whole goal, man.
Yeah.
Talk about the casting process, because the cast is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, just you get little glimpses when you're watching it, and it's so deep and it's so dark. Talk about the casting, and then talk about how you guys dealt with that on set, because it is pretty heavy and it does get pretty dark. How did you kind of keep things live and on the set and not get caught and trapped up in that? And was it during, like, because COVID kind of changed everything, right? It just kind of made it all kind of dark anyway when you're on set and kind of just trying to figure, you're walking out of bubbles and you're doing all this kind of shit, getting the temperature and everything. Talk about that and the process of the casting and what it was like with such heavy content.
Well, we shot the movie pre-pandemic, actually.
That's good.
So we weren't dealing with that. As far as casting goes, I mean, it's just kind of, I don't know, Cody, you just produce an independent film. I don't know what your casting process is. It's wild because you're just like, we kind of set the dates. The project did get pushed a bit because we did have another actual lead actor drop out, and then we pushed financial stuff happening. And by the time you're shooting, you're just lucky that you're even shooting. As far as casting all the different roles. So when we cast Cody, so the thing was, the project kept getting pushed back. There were other lead actors involved, ended up dropping out. So literally we had scheduled, it was the beginning of September, and we had to start shooting then, just our schedules, the weather we needed. So I hit up Cody, and literally we had 1 week to start shooting. And Cody was 100% down, man. And it was like, in fact, Cody was on iZombie on the Friday, and then we started shooting on the Saturday. Boom.
Damn.
To be honest, Cody,
how about that?
Pardon?
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Cody, did you like kind of having the pedal to the metal and just diving in without overthinking and just kind of grinding with it?
Yeah, I was actually talking about that on a different interview the other day. Because when you approached me, it was like 2 weeks to filming or something like that.
It was like under 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and for me, I was like on Riverdale at the time, and I didn't really have many lines. I kind of had a line here and there. So when he approached me with a script that actually had some, real meaty character development and some shit I could dive into, and like a lead role, I was like, yeah, I want that film experience. I want to dive into this. It sounds hella fun, even though it was like under 2 weeks. I think that like that manic pedal to the metal type of mentality we had going into this just suited the story. It suited the character.
Hell yeah.
Like me and Lexi, who plays Zoe, met up, and right away we stopped eating. I think we went 2 weeks without eating in prep. We didn't really have much time. I was like, that's the only thing we could really do to kind of get in the mindset. So we're just like, stop eating, and we were kind of each other's support in that. Yeah, we went hard. We jumped in. Yeah. We were doing some wild stuff, and like Rob is able to improvise, like figure shit out on the fly like no one else I've ever seen. Like some of the stuff we were able to just do, solving problems, figuring stuff out in the moment. Like it was incredible. We went.
Well, that's the whole world of indie film right there, right? Expect it. Yeah, and you've got to be able to adapt like that. I got to tell you, though, it speaks volumes to the talent of all of you, cast and crew, to be able to have that happen and just jump right in, because not at any point would you ever think that was the reality of the situation. The chemistry between the actors, the flow of the story, the content, just from what we've seen, is amazing. So that's huge props to the talent involved and how you guys were able to adapt and overcome a situation like that. Because that's not always easy, man. You get thrown into a pressure cooker like that. Sometimes it's just not able to overcome. And what you guys were able to pull off is amazing, man.
I appreciate that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like, like even just our co-producers, Rob Abate and Ethan Atrell, and then Cody and Lexi. Yeah, I mean, remember Cody, we were looking for a place to shoot this one scene, then all of a sudden we were shooting a different scene, then there was a beach fire, and we were like, oh, you know what? Let's just shoot that scene. You know what I mean? And then it looked way better than what we were planning. And that's kind of part of the deal. You guys know indie filmmaking. It's kind of part of the deal where you just kind of it's scary, but if you just push forward, it usually works out better than what you thought it was going to be.
Exactly. Sometimes it's just you get the best shit when that happens. It's like you didn't even think about it, but there it is. And like, that's why it's one of my most favorite things about indie filmmaking is that rush and is the unknown, and you just got to fly with it, man.
Yeah, it's scary though. It can get stressful. I'm not gonna lie. Things get wild there. But yeah, and again, Cody, another scene I really like. Sorry, we're talking about scenes. I know you guys haven't seen the movie yet, but
no, it's all good.
When Cody, you're on the phone call, and we started shooting at one time, and then it started raining, and we stopped. But then when we did the reshoot, we had figured out a way better background with the cityscape. You could see the whole city, and it turned out way better. So again, these happy accidents is what it's all about, and
that's right.
Putting the pedal, as Cody said, putting the pedal to the metal and just grinding it out, because it's all we could do,
Exactly.
There was one night where we just drove around Vancouver City, like downtown, and we just jumped out, and we're just like guerrilla style and filming in different areas.
Fuck the permits. We don't need permits. Just go.
I've never seen a permit in my life.
I fucking love it. I love that shit.
We're like, some of those shots, I think one of them was on the poster, isn't it? The one where we're smoking out those lights.
So what Cody's talking about is this one scene where, again, it worked out really great. Everyone talks about it too. It's where they're downtown Vancouver, and there's all these lights flashing, kind of a neon cityscape. And we literally had nothing planned. I was just going to follow you guys around with a camera, almost music video style, because there was no dialogue.
Yeah.
And we got to downtown Vancouver. It's called the Art Gallery. And then we didn't even know it had all these crazy flashing lights that would go different colors. And yeah, we got the poster shot from there, all sorts of cool stuff in the trailer from there, and just completely by accident. 100%.
Wow.
That was dope.
Yeah, because that's a hell of a trailer, bro. So like the fact that's accident is fantastic, man.
Well, we shot pretty much the whole movie with the 3-person crew. So we pulled off, hopefully we pulled off some stuff. I hope you guys, are able to check out the movie and kind of see what kind of shenanigans we pulled off.
Dude, so inspiring for all of our listeners, because the podcast is built on, our listener base is built on people trying to get into it, and it can be scary and all this, but these type stories that just, you can do it, you can run with it, even if everything goes wrong, you can still make this film and have it get out there and have it be seen and have it be good. It's such an inspiration to hear stories like that, man. You guys are kick ass, man. Like for real.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
of course,
Thanks,
of course.
Man. I'm glad,
But something that I'm really curious about, because we started doing this on the podcast a couple months ago. There has to be like an embarrassing moment that was on set that you guys were like horrified by at the time, and then now you're laughing about it. It's something you can move on past.
Like, he just something. That smile. He's got something.
Cody?
No, I can't say it. Rob knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, is it? Oh.
I'm not saying it though. I'm trying to think of something else.
Oh, bro, come on! You got to share. You can't just drop that and then not go with it. Come on now.
It's gonna be like fucking Pulp Fiction. What's in the box? Like, what's in the fucking suitcase? Like, that's hilarious.
I don't know, for actors it might be different. For me, the whole production is embarrassing. Like, I remember like when Sonny came on, like, he's a professional stand-up comedian, and you try to be like, we're doing a movie, it's got Cody Kearsley from Riverdale, and then he comes out to my like production minivan. I've got just like duffel bags of like the fucking, the wardrobe.
Yeah,
and,
just
so
everything.
ghetto. It's
Oh
so
my
low
gosh.
budget. But acting, I think it's different. You're more exposed.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
It's one of those things where you just have to be absolutely not self-conscious at all, because there was one scene where I can't remember if you had this location already planned out or if you just went into a store and kind of like offered guys some cash, but we robbed a convenience store and we kind of just shot there at one point, and there was people in a bar like across the street watching us like rob this.
They're like, oh, what's happening right now?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so
A vest on, but
That could be a little awkward with no permits, right? The police are called. Hey, these guys are robbing the store. Like, hey.
well, here's the deal. So we had to do the store robbery scene, and then Rob, again, it switched locations last minute, and our other producer, Rob Abate, offered them $100 for 1 hour filming. And then by the time we got there, we checked it out, we started set up. So we had half an hour to do that whole scene.
Nice.
We had a PA. It was the only time we actually had a PA on in the vest outside, so no one would come in when we had the guns. And we banged that puppy out, 3 takes, 3 angles, boom, done. And then it's in the trailer. It's in it's in the movie. It's an intense scene. It works out, but we just
there's a lot of stuff like that, like kind of just there would be like just some civilians around, and you kind of just have to ignore them and just dive in and not worry about what they're thinking.
Hell yeah. Dude, so much. It just brings back so much stuff. Look, we've all been there. I loved how you said, he shows up to your ghetto set, like kind of a thing. Dude, we had to wrap one day early because it started to storm really bad, and we just finished up whatever we could. We knocked it out. The rain was coming and everything. We show up the next day with all these people, and the whole fucking roof had caved in. The whole bottom floor is flooded. Everything, a fucking disaster. And we're like, just move past that. Let's go upstairs to where we're shooting. Fuck that. Let's just go. But yeah, it's one of those moments like, oh, this doesn't look good at fucking all, but we're going to move past this and everything is fine, guys. Trust us. Hoping to God the equipment is good. Everything is fine. But yeah, we've all been there, man. That's like, I don't know. For me, it makes everything even better. It's just the fun part of fucking doing it, man.
Well, Cody comes to, I think what was great was working with Cody was you came from theater, Cody, right? And you had a company, so you were used to fucking ripping tickets at the door, even though you're on a Netflix show and all that. So Cody was great, and Lexi too. They were both down for whatever, switching up last minute, because they kind of get it. And to be honest, there's always a couple actors that come and they're like, "What? You got no first AD?"
Yeah.
But it's all good. It's all good. It's all part of the game,
Oh man, the best though, like and mad props, Cody, because not having the ego, not having to check the ego at the door. Yeah, I'm on a big show and I'm still ripping tickets because that's the art. That's what I do. It's all about that's the way it should be, right? Once you start getting that ego in the way, you gotta then that becomes a problem, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I find theater is very collaborative, and film is more of a hierarchy. And watching the way people treat actors on set, like you don't even have to tie your own shoe. People are bringing you coffee. People are like dressing you.
For sure.
I've seen people kind of start expecting that and demanding things. So I'm grateful to have come from a theater background and have the mentality that literally every single person as part of the project is just as important as the other. You know what I mean? So we're all creating the same piece of art. So
agreed, man. Agreed. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on the show and sticking with us through all the trials and tribulations. Y'all are freaking awesome.
It's almost like it was an indie film project.
Yeah, literally. And I gotta say before we go, Rob, I have that picture of Kurt Cobain that's behind you. I have that in in my childhood bedroom still. So that's hilarious. I love that picture. Yeah. But guys, let them know where they can follow you, all the listeners, because it's all about social media right now.
Yeah, you just if you go to Instagram, just at River Road Movie, you'll see my link up there. I think Cody's on there too, but that's kind of probably where you could find it, at River Road Movie on Instagram.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, guys, like I said, thank you so much. We're super pumped to see the movie, and we're going to be promoting this thing like crazy when we finally see it, because it looks absolutely badass. Like I said, touches home. So, yeah, I'm really excited.
Cool.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
All
Hell
right.
yeah, man, and keep rocking, dude. What you guys are doing is fantastic, and we need more people like you because that's what the industry's all about, man.
Cool, guys. Well, thank you for supporting it and understanding it. I
Hell
like
yeah,
it,
man. That's how we all do it. That's how we get to live the dream every day, is supporting each other, man. It's the only way to get through it.
Appreciate it, guys. That's awesome.
Exactly.
All right, man. Take care, guys.
Have a good night.
Yeah, bye.
See ya.
Cheers.